the Feather Awards returns. It's under the theme Turn Up the Love, and having evolved from being solely an award celebration, which started back in 2008, it's now a full array of LGBTQIA+ advocacy activations that take place throughout the year. Now, the actual awards will take place on the 11th of November at a closed ceremony in Johannesburg. But joining us now on Weekend Dawn Review is co-founder Thami Kotlolo to discuss this year's nominations as a spotlight is shone on the LGBTQIA+ community this Pride Month. Well, Thami, a very good morning to you. Thank you very much for joining us here on Weekend Dawn. I mean, COVID-19 has seen things switch up for this 12th edition, but ultimately as a spotlight is shone on Pride Month, why is it important now more than ever to celebrate Pride Month?
Oh, wow. Thank you so much for having me. So I think the pandemic has really made us feel even more isolated as a community. And I think for the longest of time, we've struggled with getting safe spaces or creating safe spaces for queer people to exist. So Pride Month, thanks to Level 1, should be celebrated, but also for various reasons, because there's a different kind of awakening that we've gone through, or that we're dealing with as the LGBT people. Conversations have taken a different shift holistically. So we should really be engaging with how we deal with ourselves as queer people, whether with our mental health issues that we've been dealing with as a result of the pandemic. Access to opportunities as part of the recovery process of the COVID-19, what's available there for trans humans and for LGBT humans as for shelters, in spaces where in incidences where they don't feel safe or they're in homophobic environments. So there's so much that we've literally kind of been brought closer to where our issues and struggles are. And I think Pride can take a different kind of shape now in tabling some of the most important discussions. But yeah, I suppose that's where we are now, unfortunately, as a result of the pandemic, but it's pushing us in the space to do more, to engage more, and to lean in a little bit more, and to kind of turn up the love.
Which is the theme for the 12th edition this time round. I mean, you've definitely highlighted quite a few issues that has been exacerbated by the COVID-19 pandemic. But I ultimately want to look at the role of education and empowerment, the narratives, the gender norms, conformity that we see within society, and perhaps how it marginalizes or empowers the LGBTQIA+ community at large. I mean, the objectives and the evolution of the awards 12 years on really has also had a major focus on conversations, dialogues, and even the expansion of categories. How would you describe that evolution to date?
Look, I think the partners that we've had in the past and those that we've engaged with now during the pandemic have enabled us to be able to get into spaces where we can train people. I mean, we speak about education, and we've been doing a lot of work around, early child development, where at some point you have to be able to get into spaces where you're dealing with educators and learners and having to teach them how to properly understand queer humans in that space, but also to create a safe space so we don't live in a binary kind of world. So the dialogues have actually kind of helped in that space. And I think the generation that we're dealing with at the moment is one that doesn't want to really be boxed, which is great. I mean, people feel and are who they are as and when it feels right to them. But I think it's more about us being able to understand the uniqueness of every individual. So Feathers and its work on the ground in terms of those dialogues have given us that access. So Department of Education are people that we've been dealing with and engaging with. Things around gender-based violence, programs around there that we've been working with a lot of partners in Port Elizabeth have allowed us to be able to go into details of what the struggles are for queer people. So yeah, partnerships, education, training, sensitization is needed even more because there's a lot that's literally changing. But I think that we're at a nice, unique time and space where people are more open to the idea of learning something new. So as we enter into this new way of living and new ways of doing things, I hope it starts seeing all people and queer people especially, and gives them that kind of access and that opportunity, but also for people to open themselves up to learning.
You're running out of time. I mean, just on Thursday when the nominations were announced, we saw the controversial list causing a hoo-ha on social media, but ultimately the African Feather of the Year this time round goes to Frank Mugisha, a Ugandan activist. In one sentence, how was he chosen?
Well, we've had focus groups in the past where we literally look at just one African icon who's really done their bit in making sure that the experience of queer people is easier, but also are activists and advocates of our struggle. So this award category has been there for the last 3-4 years now. And that one is one where we literally sit in a group and we present a case of the possible recipients. And Frank is at the right space.
And of course, it all culminates on the 11th of November virtually. But again, thank you to Thami Kotlolo, again, co-founder of the Feather Award, chatting to us about the awards set for the 11th of November. This week, the usually controversial nominations list was revealed. And of course, all these conversations aim to highlight the plight of the LGBTQIA+ community at large.